Hello, good afternoon, good morning.
How
How are you, Angela?
good. How are you doing today?
Yes, very well, thank you. I would love for you to introduce yourself and Fiercely Fertile to our audience, and then we can start talking about mindfulness and all the fantastic things that you have written for us in our recent article together, and how you support people throughout their trying to conceive journey.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be here today. Thank you so much, Eloise, for having me and everybody for signing on. I'm Angela Shaba. I am a fertility coach and founder of Fiercely Fertile. And so, yeah, I kind of wanted to share a little bit about my story and sort of my journey, my fertility journey, and how Fiercely Fertile came about. So I actually started my fertility journey single, and I was trying to freeze my eggs. And I wound up going to see a fertility doctor and had just no idea that I was going to be going down this like path of shock and fear and uncertainty and all of that. So I was diagnosed with diminished ovarian reserve, also known as DOR. And for me, that meant that my ovaries and my eggs were a lot older than my actual age was. And so it was going to be very difficult for me to have, have a child of my own. And so I wasn't prepared for that, right? I wanted to go freeze my eggs. And so here I am kind of being faced with all of these decisions, right? And so, I started down this path and I wound up talking to a few doctors who really didn't want to work with me because they were kind of like, this is not going to work. Freezing your eggs is going to be really hard. And so I found a doctor who wanted to work with me. I felt comfortable with and supported, and I started down this journey. And in the interim of this journey, I finally found my husband, which is so weird and ironic. And together we decided to go through IVF, and we went through many, many years and many treatments of IVF cycles, and then we did get lucky, and we do have a child. And so as this was happening, I sort of kept saying to myself, something is not working for me, right? My mind and my body just sort of were really disconnected. I wasn't in the right mindset. I wasn't feeling good about myself. I had a lot of emotions. I was angry, I was fearful, I had shame, I had a lot of anxiety and stress. And so I sort of said to myself, something has to change. I need to do something different, right? And so I started to look inward and to my professional background. And so I have a PhD in performance psychology, and I work with elite athletes on helping them and their mental state and their mindset getting strong so that they can perform in their game, right? And I said, well, that kind of sounds a little similar to me, right? I need to be a little bit stronger here, and my mind and my body are just not connected. And so I started using the mental skills that I use with these athletes on myself. And as this happened and I was going through my journey, I started feeling a little bit lighter, a little bit more in control, and a little bit more like myself during this whole process. And I said to myself, I want to help other women. I want to help other women who are going through the same thing that I'm going through, who are struggling as well, who are having all of these emotions and stress and anxiety because of the fertility treatments, right? And because of trying to conceive. It's just so difficult sometimes. And so that's how Fiercely Fertile was born. And then I created an online course which helps support women, and I give them the mental skills that I use with athletes, that I've used on myself, and all of those lifestyle changes. And then I also have one-on-one coaching sessions too. Yeah.
It's brilliant the way that you support people, and also you can resonate with the emotions that people are going through because you've been there firsthand.
Thank you. Yeah.
And for me, that was something for me that was really important when I was connecting with a fertility coach and had counselling when I was going through treatment. Before we go into mindfulness, and obviously we're going to talk more about the community and how you support people, but for people who are unsure about how a fertility coach can support them, whatever stage of their journey that they're at, what would your advice be around that level of support and how it can be instrumental to helping with your mindset?
Yeah, I love that you just shared a little bit of, that for you, and how that was so important for you because, for me, I actually was kind of the opposite. I didn't have a lot of support going through my journey. And I think that was also partly why I'm so passionate about helping others now, because I realized how detrimental it was to me and my mental health that I didn't have anyone to really reach out to or to get that support. I think, you know, a lot of people just don't understand this fertility stuff, and they just don't know how to support you. And although like my friends and my family are great, no one experienced anything like this. And so they just didn't know what to do, right? And so I truly, truly, truly do not recommend doing that. I think it's so important to really get that support that you need, and to work with somebody like myself who not only has the professional background, but also has that personal experience. Because, you know, for me, I can talk with somebody about the certain things like from, you know, hey, how do I organize my medication? You know, I'm doing this for the first time. I have no idea what I'm doing. To, hey, I've been doing this for a few years and I'm struggling and I have so much anxiety around this. Like, what about the loss that I've been going through? How do I handle that? And so fertility coaching to me, and what I think it is really just, let me walk with you. Let me run this marathon with you. I'm going to coach you. I'm going to walk beside you. I'm going to support you and guide you. And I'm going to help you through every part of this journey, right? Whether it's your first cycle or it's your, you know, 10th cycle, I'm going to be there supporting you. And no question is ever, you know, too silly to ask. Like, I will always be there to say, you know, I understand what you're going through, because I did go through that too, right? So that firsthand kind of information and knowledge and experience, and that empathy that kind of comes along with that fertility coaching piece, I think it's just so, like you said, instrumental in helping you create such a more positive and balanced mindset, and helping you really support yourself during this journey. Because if you've gone through this journey, you know it's not always easy, right? It's definitely a challenge. And it's sort of, I kind of call it, like, from a sports performance perspective, I say we're running a marathon, but we're running the long game, right? You know, so we got to stay strong during the game. Yeah. So
I think you've raised really good points there, and I don't know if people watching agree with this too from their own experience, but I found that some of my friends who weren't going through the same scenario didn't have the understanding of what it felt like. You know, they understood that it was a difficult time, but not to the level of the sort of anxiety and depression that I was feeling. And it was very easy for people to sort of say the wrong thing without necessarily intending to. They're trying to say good things, but they might come out the wrong way. And also family too. And actually, when I sought help, which was with someone I didn't know on a personal level, it made it really easy to sort of let those open the floodgates and actually be like, cry. And not everyone wants to cry, but be able to actually get out all of that anxiety and all of that pain and all of the triggers that I had been experiencing every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's so powerful, right? I think that connection that you can have with somebody is so powerful. And I mean, I definitely have gone through counseling and coaching myself after the fact, right? Which I think, again, is instrumental. But I think you're right. I don't think people know what to say, and I don't think they mean any harm by what they're saying. I think they just don't know. It's an awkward kind of conversation to have with someone. They don't know what do you need right now. And I think I get that a lot with my clients. You know, they're like, I'm not going to cry today, you know, and it's like, and then I say, well, it's okay if you cry, like, you know, that's part of it. And I think when they do release, it's such an experience that, you know, they can then get back to their day. They can get back to what they need to do. As we kind of process through what just happened, we come up with a game plan. You know, that's kind of like my performance background piece, where, like, after every session, I'm like, let's come up with a game plan and let's figure out how you're going to go forward from what we have, the information we now know, to what we need to do for next week, you know? And so I think that also helps, because it gives like a sense of peace of control almost, in a way, because again, we know fertility journey and all of the fertility treatments, sometimes we just don't have a lot of control over what we're going through, you know? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Fertility mindset, which is what you've written about in this fantastic article, which people should head to. The link's in our bio to find out more about Angela and Fiercely Fertile, but also how mindfulness can support you with these feelings of anxiety during a fertility struggle. So could you tell us a little bit more about the benefits and how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, mindfulness is let me just give you a background of mindfulness. So mindfulness is just being present in the moment, right? It is not focusing on the past or what happened, or the future and what we want to happen, right? So both of those things, past and future, we can't control, right? But we can kind of control some of what's coming at us right now in the moment, okay? And so that's kind of like what mindfulness really is. Simplistic way of saying is really staying focused and staying present, right? And what mindfulness does is it grounds us. It allows us, again, when you're staying present, you're allowing yourself to be able to just focus on the emotions that are coming at you. So much in the fertility journey and struggle and trying to conceive is that, struggles with trying to conceive is that we're focusing on the past, what didn't go right, or what we, don't have, right? Or the future in terms of what we wish we could have, or what we wish we, so often I hear people tell me, clients of mine say, like, I just wish I didn't have to do this, right? Like, I just wish I didn't have to do this, and it would be easier for me in the way that I think it would be for, someone else, right? And so, like, there's a lot of emotion tied to some of those past and future feelings, right? So the more you can stay grounded, the more your feelings are going to be coming at you a little bit more balanced. And what I mean by that is you're not going to have that like self-talk in your head that's going to be critical, that's going to be negative, right? And instead, we actually start to shift that mindset and we create more balance, we create more strength within our mindset. And that is the key, to sort of connecting the mind and body. I sort of say, I think I even wrote it in the article, that mindfulness is like a game changer for fertility. In so many ways, when we practice staying present, we are going to be more grounded and less stressed, less anxious. We know that fertility treatments and struggling to conceive is going to cause anxiety and depression. Like the research, like you can look that up and like it's definitely there, right? Mm-hmm. And so what we're trying to do is manage those emotional thoughts that are coming at us. And so mindfulness is a great way to kind of connect that mind and body, kind of get you prepared and in sync for those treatments, because the more the mind and the body can work together, the more the body can just do what it needs to do. So we're reducing that fight or flight response, and we're actually reducing the cortisol that comes in our body from the stress response, right? And so we have so much anxiety and we have so much stress and it's constantly coming at us, the cortisol increases, and we just like don't want that for our body, because we know that stress impacts our physical well-being, right? And so again, connecting that mind and body connects that mental health and overall well-being to connect that physical well-being so that the body can kind of do what it needs to do. It's not overly stressed out, right? Does that make sense a little bit? Yeah.
I think you've raised a really good point, because that all sounds as it should be. But I think then people start to say, well, I'm getting stressed because I don't want to be stressed and I'm trying to lower my cortisol levels. So how do you kind of reduce your stress when you're stressed at the thought of not being stressed, or trying not to be stressed? If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're so right. I mean, I think we all kind of that's something that we definitely struggle with, right? And I think that it sort of is like kind of is a circle effect, right? It's sort of one thing starts and then the rest just kind of domino effects, right? So, practicing mindfulness and staying connected to your mind and body and kind of really grounding yourself, what you're really doing is you're training your brain to kind of start to react differently to stress, and really react differently in a way that says, well, I'm going to be able to identify the stress and I'm going to be able to calm myself down because I can do that, right? You start to give yourself, even as I say that, I feel a little bit more confident in myself, right? I'm like, I can do this, and that's really what I teach. That's the most important thing about connecting your mind and body.
What about saying to yourself positive affirmations when you're not feeling positive? Because that's a struggle, isn't it?
Yes. Positive affirmations are wonderful. I do have positive affirmations in my course, actually. And I have a visualization that I created and a meditation, and also breathing as well. A specific breathing technique that I love. And so there's definitely different ways to practice mindfulness. And I think I kind of like explain it to everybody. Like, I want you to have like a backpack of tools, right? So that you're like struggling today, you go and grab that tool. And maybe today affirmations really works for you. And maybe tomorrow you want to do a meditation because you really need a little bit more, right? Grounding. But I think affirmations are wonderful. I think the more that you can kind of start to say, you know, I got this, I can do this, whatever the affirmations are, you start to feel more confident in your capability, in your, you know, in your journey. And really that's what we're trying to do. It's shifting the mind, right? It's shifting the way we react to the stress that's coming at us. I can't take away the stress, right? I can't take away what is coming at us, but what I can do is give you the skills and the tools that you're going to need so that you can manage what's coming at you. Yeah, and I actually just want to say real quick, everyone thinks that practicing mindfulness is like, it could be exhausting or
like a tick box.
Yes, you know, it's not, it doesn't have to be that way. I actually teach it to be like less stressful so that it's not one more thing. If mindfulness and practicing that is making you stressed out, we're not doing the right thing, right? It's not supposed to do that. So there's different ways you can use mindfulness. And also we're all busy, right? Our schedules are so jam-packed. And when you're going through IVF, I mean, it's even more jam-packed. So I sort of try to give skills that, you know, are easy to use, right? Easy to use during a journey. Yeah.
Love that. So everyone should head to our link in bio and check out Fiercely Fertile. Tell us more about the course.
Yeah, so it's a 10 module course. It kind of takes you through, I sort of share my journey with, you know, with you. And then also I sort of talk to you a little bit about, you know, what IVF is and just like the science behind it. And then we go right into mental skills. So I teach you specific mental skills that I work and I use with top athletes, and that I've used with myself. And now I also use with my fertility clients. And these specific skills are what we were just talking about. They're skills that are going to help you learn how to manage the stressors that are coming at you, keep your mind really strong and sort of balanced. That's the biggest approach to all of this, right? Like, yeah, strength and positivity, but really balance during this approach so that you can handle the stress that's coming at you, right? And then it really connects that mind and body. And then I've also given lifestyle adjustments and changes that I've made, you know, sort of to just optimize my fertility while I was going through my journey. I give you kind of little anecdotes here and there about all the little things that I experienced, ways to communicate better with your partner while you're going through the journey, self-care, really just like a ton of information. And then each module is going to have worksheets that I created so that you could practice, you know, the skills for that week as well. I have a visualization, meditation, breathing exercise in there. And I also have a recipe book. So I actually, during my journey, my husband and I love to cook. It's a huge part of our life. And, you know, I was going through really trying to optimize my fertility. So working on a fertility kind of friendly diet in some ways. And so we created some recipes that we love. And, you know, I said, let's just throw that in there and, you know, help support other people as well. And I actually have some clients that they purchase the recipe book separately and they say, thank you so much because I don't have to think about that, you know? So it's one less thing for you to think about. And so, yeah, and then I give you some tips on how to handle a fertilization report, 2-week wait. I mean, there's like a ton of stuff in there, just throughout the entire process. Yeah.
I think one of the key things that you just mentioned, which is a good takeaway, is that you can benefit from this kind of support whatever stage you're at. So whether you're going into, you may not be having treatment, but maybe looking for natural conception support, or you might be looking for first steps when you're going to see a specialist, or as obviously you've seen people in these different scenarios, or diagnosis, or lack of diagnosis, or a first round that hasn't been successful and knowing where to go to the 8th round cycle that has, you know, that you're still waiting to see that positive or loss. And so it's really interesting to hear how you can support people at different stages of that journey with different needs.
Yeah, I think I sort of made it that way because I just wanted to help as many people as I can. And then I think we're all on this journey. We're just on it a little bit differently sometimes, right? And so, but everyone that's on the journey can use support and can use you know, support in different ways, right? Not everybody wants to do one-on-one coaching, right? Some people just feel like they want to be able to kind of take an online course, kind of get the skills that they need, do it themselves, and then maybe they feel like, well, I want to get some more support. I want to get some more individualized support. So I have both of those options for everybody. And yes, agreed. And during any stage of your journey, you can kind of, you know, find something on my website. I also have a blog that I write, and you know, I have sort of tips you know, on my Instagram that I give to everybody, because I think no matter where we are in the journey, we just need some help, right? We need just, I don't think that you should do this alone. You know, I don't think it's the more support you have, the better you probably will feel during the process. Yeah. So.
Absolutely. And also, you know, you being so charismatic and such a personable person is fantastic, because we hear about this in the community all the time, but you want to like the person that's supporting you. So bedside manner, whether that's with your specialist or with your support network, is so important to make you feel encouraged and to help you get through day by day in whatever remit that is, from all of that fantastic information you gave us around emotional support to mindfulness to recipes and lifestyle changes. So I think it's really great to have that as a one-stop support system and course that people can take away and take out of it what they want. I presume that you're able to help people around the world as well, wherever they're located.
Yeah, absolutely. I am. So the online course is accessible to anyone, anywhere, and even, you know, the fertility coaching. I can do that with anyone around the world that needs the support. You know, I'm based in you know, the United States, but you know, obviously we have we can reach everyone everywhere, right? So it's kind of exciting to just sort of be connected with so many people from all over, and you know, who you say to yourself, wow, everybody is sort of experiencing something. The community really stretches so far, and it's so wonderful. Yeah, it's just amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely. So key takeaways for those who are finding IVF, for example, stressful, those who want to potentially look into mindfulness, what are your thoughts, Angela?
Yeah, I mean, I think don't be afraid, first off. I think, you know, it's mindfulness. So IVF, let me just say real quick, IVF is stressful. I think anyone who is going through this, if you're watching right now, don't feel like you are alone, or that, you know, your thoughts about, you know, going through IVF being stressful is abnormal, because it's not, right? IVF is super stressful. It's all consuming. It affects all areas of our life. So yes, you are going to feel that when you're going through this process. And so that's why we have the support that we have, right? And that's why there's so many people like you and me who are sort of helping others during their journey. And then with mindfulness, you know, practicing mindfulness and staying connected to the present moment is always going to help support you and your mindset. It's going to reduce that stress response. It's going to reduce that cortisol in your body, and it's going to connect the mind and the body so that the body can do what it needs to do. And so practicing mindfulness, you can start by doing that during every day of your, you know, you can go outside and take a walk. I actually just posted something on my Instagram about using your 5 senses, which is something I talk about in my course. About how to practice mindfulness in an easy way. When you're walking outside, you know, feel the sunshine, smell the air, hear the birds chirping, and that can kind of get you grounded, and it sort of starts to connect you into your present moment. And that is, it's easier to sort of connect yourself when you're walking outside than maybe when you're in your fertility clinic, right? And so the more we practice, our mind is like a muscle, right? The more we practice mindfulness and the more we use it, the more the brain is going to start to connect very quickly and say, oh, I'm in a stressful situation. Okay, I can handle that. And that's what I teach. And that's what I think key takeaways is you can do this. It's easier than you think it is, you know? So yeah, I will definitely support you along the way.
When I was having treatment, I had some hypnotherapy, and one of the things that I remember, which was so valuable for me, was rethinking my, sort of changing the way I felt about my body. So feeling connected to my womb and feeling, you know, saying to myself that it's a welcoming place and that it's a flourishing garden, etc. So that I started to believe that this was an environment that was waiting to grow a baby.
Yeah.
And it's not something I'd ever thought about before, but I found it quite easy to get into that mindset because it made perfect sense that you want to start trusting your body. And it's hard to trust your body if you feel as though your body's been failing you.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up. I mean, it's so important. I just wrote a blog post that I'm hoping to post like soon, but about how I was so mad at my body because it was failing me, right? And one of the things that I do, that I teach women and we talk about is, so a few of the affirmations are just about what you said. It's like, my body is welcoming for baby. My body is ready and able, right? My body, it can do strong things. Like my body can, you know, it's strong today. And then the visualization that I have is really all about like kind of connecting back into that body and sort of saying to yourself, like, my body is strong, my body is ready and able and willing to accept, right? And I think it's so weird when we say it out loud, I think, because
it is.
I know my clients say that too, right? They're like, that's the weirdest thing, Angela. What are you talking about, you know? And I'm like, I'm telling you it works. Like, just try it, you know? So I'm so glad you brought that up, Eloise, because that's really powerful, 100%. Yeah.
I agree. I really would love everyone to check out Fiercely Fertile. Go to our link in bio. Angela is fantastic, and we have just done, you know, this. Well, you've just written this fantastic article for us, which we've linked up in our bio. So please go and check it out. And thank you so much for your time today, Angela, with all the wonderful tips that you've been giving everybody.
Wonderful, Eloise. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I had fun. It was great talking to you.
Lovely to speak to you. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.